Hi everybody, it's Jenna from Jenna's Stitches. This video is going to be a tutorial type how I do it video on this solid to granny hexagon cardigan I created. Now I am not the original creator of the hexagon cardigan at all. I'm sure you all know that if you're familiar with my videos. This pattern, it has been going around like crazy lately, and I've just been doing different variations of it over the past couple months, and came up with the idea to do a solid versus granny cardigan. And I'm sure there are some out there. I personally haven't seen a pattern for it or any video tutorial, but I have seen other pictures around just my Facebook groups and everything of people who have made solid and granny square hexagon cardigans. So I'm not claiming to have created this pattern at all, but this design right here in front of me, yes, I did. I didn't follow any pattern to make it or anything. I just kind of went with it. So I'm going to show you guys how I did it. And you can see I do only have half of it here because we are going to make the other half together. So this is the first half completely finished. I did this a little bit normal than I would regular hexagon cardigans because I wanted to make sure I had everything the way I wanted it before filming the video. So I have completely seamed this side up already. I have already put my cuff on the sleeve and tried it on just to make sure it's how I want it before I started filming. So this is what you will get if you make it yourself. And I'm sorry for, the stuff in the background here. This is my work desk, and I tried to move it out of frame as much as I could without actually taking it all off my desk, because that would involve unplugging everything and too much work. So I'm sorry if it bothers you, but it's going to be there. As far as materials go for this, if you do it exactly the way I did it, I have used almost a full skein of this green right here, which is, I love this yarn in the colorway Limelight. I'm sure you're all familiar with I love this yarn. My cat ripped this up a little bit, but there you go. There are 355 yards in this, and it's a 100% acrylic, and this is all I got left, which is not a lot, which is why it kind of just is a jumbled up skein of yarn right now. So I'm going to start using that for the second half, but didn't use a full skein of the green. But as far as the purple goes, doing just these two sections right here, I did use a full skein of the purple, which is, again, I love this yarn. This is the colorway Grape, 355 yards. So to make just these two sections and to seam across the top shoulder there, I used the whole entire skein. Besides this right here, which might be, I don't know, like 6-7 yards of yarn. And I will say that this pattern is completely customizable. You can really make your sections as big or as small as you want them. I actually made mine a little oversized for my body, and I am right now sitting at about an extra large shirt size. I would say the cardigan itself is probably closer to a 1X because it is a little bit large on me, but that's what I wanted. And I really didn't have much thought going into it. I think if I were to make it again in the future, which I'm probably going to because I do like the look of it, I will make my sections smaller. So what I did for this one and what we're going to do to repeat on the other side is 5 sections of each, except for this last one of purple. I only did 4 because I only had this much yarn left and I didn't want to take out another skein just for one row. So I have 5 rows, rounds, whatever you want to call them. 5, 5, 4. And then I did the cuff in green as well. What was I saying? Oh, so you can definitely make these as big as small as you want it. I think if I make another one, I'm gonna probably go down to either 2 or 3 a piece and make it a more striped effect rather than like color blocking effect. So you can do whatever you want, and if you need to make it smaller than mine, you probably will want to make your section smaller too, so that the size is more comparable with your body. If you're a size small, you might not want to follow the same exact pattern I did because it's going to be way too large. But Again, for mine, I did 5, 5, 5, 4, and that's what we're going to do on the other side. So, before I actually get into it, I do want to say that I did not plan anything out. So some of the sections have different spaces when we get up here. So most of them are, I skipped 2 and then did a cluster. Once I switched back over to the granny part, there are some spaces where I skipped 3, just because I didn't do math or anything to make sure it would work out right. But honestly, you can't tell. It looks perfectly fine. So if you have that happen to you, don't worry about it. Once it's a finished project, nobody's going to be able to tell that you skipped 1 extra stitch here and there to make it come out the way you needed it to. So you'll probably see that when I work on the second side. So I'm going to go ahead and put that aside. If you do want the same exact colors and everything as mine, again, the green is Limelight by I Love This Yarn, which is Hobby Lobby. The purple is Grape. And I'm also, once we're completely done, going to put a trim on this. Probably around the whole outside of the cardigan and maybe around the cuff. I haven't decided yet, in black, which I'll just use I Love This Yarn in black. And for this, I used an L 8mm hook. I don't know if you can really see that. Yeah, you can. I used my clover hook. I have made several hexagon cardigans so far, and I actually seem to prefer with the bigger hooks. I'm actually making another one for my best friend right now with Karen Blossom Cakes with a J hook, and I really wish I would have went up another hook size, or maybe even 2, and done an L with that one as well. But I'm already halfway done with it, so I'm not about to fix it. But so what you want to do to start this off is either a magic circle, which is what I'm going to do, or you can I can't talk this morning, chain 4 and slip stitch into the first chain to make your circle. I prefer to do magic circles, so I'm going to start with that. I have not done a tutorial in a very long time, so forgive me if this sucks. But then we're going to chain 3, and that's going to count as our first double crochet, and we need 6 3 double crochet clusters, so that's going to count as a double crochet. We are going to do another double crochet into the circle and a third one. There's our first cluster of 3, and then I'm going to chain 1. Now it is a hexagon cardigan, so we need 6 sides. We're going to do that again, so 3 double crochets. There's 2, there is 3, and we are going to chain 1, so now we have 2 of our clusters. 2, 3, chain 1, we are going to make the 4th cluster. Chain 1, 5th cluster, and the center of these do get kind of bunched up. That is completely fine. That is expected to happen because we are putting so many stitches in the center of the circle. It will correct itself by the time you're done. So that was my 5th one, and here I go with my 6th. And I am going to chain 1 and then slip stitch into the top of my chain 3 over here. If I can get my hook into it. There we go. And there are my first 6 clusters. I'm going to just pull my circle closed. And that's what we have so far. Again, it does get a little bit ruffly, but it will eventually correct itself. Don't worry if it looks like that throughout the whole entire cardigan. By the time you finish with it and actually wear it, you will not be able to tell anymore. So now I do mine a little bit different. So I'm going to chain 1. You can definitely chain 3 and count it as your first double crochet. I'm going to chain 1, yarn over, go back into that space we just made, and make my 3 double crochets to start my first cluster. I think doing that gives it a more seamless look, and that instead of slip stitching to get to the next what will eventually be a corner space. So there is 1. We're going to chain 1 and put 3 more clusters in that same spot. I'm sorry if you heard that. My son came in and started talking to me, so I had to stop really quick. So I have 1 cluster of 3 double crochets, chain 1 cluster of 3 double crochets, all in that same space. Now I'm just going to jump right over to the next chain 1 space we made earlier. I'm not going to chain 1 or anything. We're just going to jump right back over there and do the same thing. So 1, 2, 3, chain 1, same space. Ooh, got all twisted there. 1, 2, 3. And we're going to do that all the way around, so we're just going to skip right over to the next chain 1 space from the first round and do the same thing. So 1, 2, 3, chain 1. I just realized I can't see what I'm doing, and I don't know if you guys could. 1, 2, 3. I'm going to move this down just a little bit. I hope that doesn't bother anybody. Jump over to the next one and do the same thing. Ooh. Probably should have untangled this before I started filming, but you know, we're just going to roll with it. There's 3, chain 1. Put another set of 3 in here. Then we are going to jump to the next one here. 1, 2, 3. Chain 1, 1, 2, and 3. Then we got 1 more here, right there, that we are going to do. Again, I don't chain 1 between my clusters. You definitely can if you want to. When switching to the next corner, I just prefer not to. There is 3. Thankfully, it's not that tangled. And my last one here, 1, 2, and 3. And then we are going to slip stitch right into the top of the double crochet I made, since I did not do a chain 3. If you did a chain 3 for your first double crochet, slip stitch into the top of that chain 3, but I'm going to slip stitch into the top of my double crochet. And there is our second round. So we now have all 6 of our corners built up. Now for this round, we are going to start it similarly. So I'm going to chain 1, go back into that last space I just finished, and do my cluster of 3, and then chain 1 and 3 again to build up a corner. Or wait, no, I'm sorry. Scratch that. This one we just ended in is just going to be 3 double crochets. It's not a corner, it's just a standard Granny square. The next one's going to be our corner, so the first one we did there is just going to be 3 double crochets, and we're going to skip over to this corner right here and do our corner, which is the 3 double crochet, chain 1, 3 double crochet. So here's my first cluster, chain 1, and here's my second. So there's how it looks now. So now we're going to build up the sides of it. So now we're going to go into this spot right here and do just 3 double crochets. Now we're going to go into this one here and do a corner. So 3 double crochet, chain 1, 3 double crochet. Now we're going to jump into this space right here and just do 3 double crochet. Then we have this space here, so it is a corner space. So there's my 3, chain 1, 1, 2, 3. Now we're going to go into this space here and just do 3 double crochets. Now we got a corner again, so we are going to go in here and do 3 double crochets, chain 1, 3 double crochet. What?
I'm not hugging you back.
Because I'm doing a tutorial. I can't hug you right now, okay?
Please.
Oh, I gotta stop and hug myself. There you go.
Love you.
Love you. Sorry about that. Now we are doing... He's come in 4 times already, and we're only like 5 minutes into this video and asked me for a hug, and I had to give him one. So now we're going to go over to this space here and just do 3 double crochets. Now we're back in a corner. So 3 double crochet, chain 1, 3 double crochet. So it is Saturday and the kids are home, and Maverick recently got his medication adjusted for his ADHD. There's a corner. We're going to jump over here and do just 3 double crochets. If you're familiar with my channel, you probably know that he struggles with that. If you're not, Maverick's my youngest. He's 6, and he has very severe ADHD. So we're going to jump back into this corner here and make our 3 double crochet, chain 1, 3 double crochet. And we recently had to switch doctors because his original doctor was having health problems herself, and she was constantly out of office and was not telling anybody. So we'd call to get his prescriptions refilled, and there would just be nobody there. And we were going, you know, days without his medication. And because of his severity, he cannot do that. Like, he can't function without his medication. So, hold on, before I continue the story here, we are back at the beginning, so I am going to slip stitch into the top of my first double crochet. And there's what our second round looks like. Again, it does kind of bow out. It will straighten out, but there we go so far. So the next 2 rounds, because again, we're making 5 sections, are going to just be repeating that. So in every space we have here, we're just going to do 3 double crochets. And every corner we're going to do our 3 double crochet, chain 1, 3 double crochet. So again, I chain 1, go back into that space I just made to make my first 3 double crochet cluster. Since it's not a corner, it's just going to be 3 double crochets, and then I'm going to jump over here. So we had to switch to a new doctor, and the new doctor, and again, we're just going to jump over here and make 3 double crochets. And then we're going to go into this corner and do our 3 double, chain 1, 3 double. The new doctor noticed that his clonidine that he takes to be able to sleep at night, the dosage was very, very high. She said it was not a safe level for any human being to take, let alone a 6-year-old child. So she had him, I should say, on a regimen, I don't know if that's the right word, to kind of wean him down to a lower dosage. Made the corner. I'm just going to do 3 double crochet clusters in these 2 spaces right here before I get to the next corner, and take his medication down to 0.2 grams and he was taking 0.6. So we have done that, and we are, I think, like a week into him being down to 0.2s, and I just don't think it's working. He's just, and it's almost throwing his Adderall off too. He takes Adderall in the morning, you know, to calm himself down throughout the day, and then he takes the clonidine at night to go to sleep. And I don't know, he's just been very frustrating lately. So when he's, you know, very calm and lovey like that, I gotta give it to him. So there's a corner. We are in another 3 double crochet spot. So it's been a rough transition for us. I don't know what we're gonna do at this point. I think both me and my husband have agreed that we're gonna call the doctor and tell her that, like, whatever this is just not gonna work for him. We are back in a corner. And obviously I'm not a pharmacist or know much about the medication at all, but it's almost like because he's taking less clonidine at night, his Adderall is not working as well during the day either. And what I'm thinking is because he was taking such a high dosage of the clonidine, it was staying in his system well into the day. And he was taking the Adderall too. And now that he's taking a lower dosage of the clonidine, it's not staying in his system as long. So now the Adderall is working by itself, and maybe the Adderall is not strong enough. I don't know if that even makes sense, but that's kind of what I was thinking. We are back into a corner here. And if you don't care about any of that, I'm sorry. But that was a very long story just to tell you that they might interrupt us. I do have an older son as well. He's usually pretty good, but he's right outside the door, his room is, so we might hear him if he, you know, makes noises or something. But my younger son, he, with his, I mean, even if he didn't have ADHD, he'd probably come in here and bother me all day because he just likes being with me. So I do apologize if they interrupt at all throughout the making of this cardigan. Got 2 more corners here before this round is done. Chain 1, 3 double crochet. And we got 2 spaces here that we will just put 3 double crochets a piece in. And I don't know what I was just going to say, never mind. And I'm back to the last corner here, so we will do our 3 double crochet, chain 1, 3 double crochet. Oh, I remember. Okay, so this round is done. We are going to slip stitch into the first double crochet I made. Again, if you chain 3, slip stitch into the top of your chain 3. And there we go with 4 rounds so far. Again, it's just the nature of the pattern that it's going to bow up a little bit. But there's how it looks. I'm going to do the next round off film. And what I was going to say a second ago is I'm going to adjust my camera angle a little bit when I come back to start doing the purple, because I can't really see what I'm doing and I don't know how well you guys can see what I'm doing. So camera angle might be a little bit different when I come back. But for this last round of the green we're going to do, because again, we're doing 5 rows or rounds of each color, you're just going to build up your corners like we've been doing. So 3 double crochet, chain 1, 3 double crochet in those spots, and then you'll do 3 groups on each side of the 3 double crochet clusters. So we're going to start right here where my hook is. I'm going to chain 1 and put 3 double crochets into this spot right here. We're going to put 3 double crochets into this next spot right here. jump over here, put 3 double crochets, and then I have my corner, 3 double crochet, chain 1, 3 double crochet. Same thing over here. So in every space, you're going to put 3 double crochets. In every corner, you're going to put 3 double crochet, chain 1, 3 double crochet. So I'm going to go ahead, stop this, do the next round off camera, and I'll come back when we're ready to switch over to the purple. Okay, so I finished the green section of my hexagon cardigan here, and I did move the camera. Angle is good for me. I hope it's good for everybody else, and I hope the beginning part wasn't too bad. I could kind of see what I'm doing, but it was a little far away, and that's why I moved it. So I hope it's good for everybody now. Sorry, I had to take a sip of my drink. So I have my 5 rounds here of the green. I did have to switch over to a second skein of green. You can kind of see it over here, right at the very last corner. So the knot's in there somewhere. I can't even feel it. But somewhere right in here, I did have to switch to that second one. So just if you are following it exactly how I'm doing with the same yarn and everything, you'll need at least, well, 2 of these, not at least, because you will need 2 of these, and all 2 of the purples, because again, I used a full skein of purple except for maybe 6 or 7 yards for the first half. I had enough green left over to do all of this except for, again, the last corner, so I'll have plenty of green to finish this side with some left over, and then I'll probably have a little bit of the purple left over too, because I did already attach that, you know, however many yards to the new skein, so I didn't have to show you guys that on camera. So here's the beginning of it. Well, I guess it was a little bit longer than I thought. Here's the knot I just tied in it. So all of this was left over from the first side, not much at all. So there'll be double that left over with this side, hopefully, if everything turns out exactly the same as I did with the first one. So I'm going to go ahead and attach this. So what I'm going to do actually is unslip stitch that and redo this last double crochet of the green. That's how I do my double, or my color change. I'm going to slip stitch into the first one, first double crochet like I normally would, but instead of pulling through with green, I'm gonna just loop my purple over the hook and pull through and slip stitch it that way. That's how I do my color changes. I hope that made sense, but I just kind of loop the purple over the hook, leave a little bit of a tail, and pull the purple through instead of pulling the green through. I'm going to start with chaining 1, and I am going to go right back into this space right here to make my first double crochet. And I'm holding my purple tail so that I can crochet over it, and I'm going to grab the green one too and crochet over that. And I actually have to grab the first one and see what I did. Okay. So purple is actually pretty easy. We're just going to double crochet in every single space. And we're going to do our corners exactly the same. So we're just going to go right across the top, double crocheting in every double crochet we already have. So there's 2, 3, and instead of going in the space like we were before, we're just going to go into the loops to make a double crochet. So just double crochets all the way across the top of your hexagon. And as soon as I get to the end of my purple, which is right there, I'm going to cut off my green so that it's not getting tangled. And that's what I normally do with all of my yarn if I'm color changing. I'll cut the second color off once I completely weave in the tail of the color I added. So the purple already had a length of a tail. Once I got to the end of that tail, I cut off my green too. I'm bad at explaining things this morning. So I hope that made sense. And again, I can't see what I'm doing. I'm just all over the place today. I hope that is not affecting anybody being able to do that. So I am now at my corner. I'm going to do 3 double crochet, chain 1, 3 double crochet, just like we did with the green. Ooh, that did not want to come out. I have a feeling this purple, yep, is going to tangle because the other end of it's right here too. And it is very hard to pull out. So I'm going to have to do some adjusting of that off camera so you guys don't have to see me struggle with it. So there's 3 double crochet, chain 1, 3 double crochet. And I am going to skip the first stitch here, that, as people like to call it, the hidden stitch, and just go into the second one right here. I find that if you do that hidden stitch, because I actually did it a couple times on the first half, it made it a lot more like ruffly, where if I skipped it and just went into the second one, it made it more straight, flat. I don't know. So I'm going to skip that and just go into the second one here. And I'm going to do that all the way around. So again, just 1 double crochet in each spot, and then 3 double crochet, chain 1, 3 double crochet in the corner. And do that for 5 rounds. Again, if you're following exactly what I'm doing, I'm going to pause here and do all 5 rounds of the purple. We'll meet back up together again when I go back to the green. So 1 double crochet in every spot, 3 double crochet, chain 1, 3 double crochet in the corners for 5 rounds, and I'll see you when I'm done with it. Okay, everybody, so we have made it to the end of the solid section for the purple. I do have 5 rows all together. Again, if you haven't done it already, all we did was go in every stitch of the green granny squares, making a double crochet. Corners were 3 double crochets, chain 1, 3 double crochets, and we did that for 5 rows to make the purple section. Now we are going to switch back over to the green and do another section of the granny squares. So for that, again, not going to be too terribly difficult, but it is a little bit. I mean, I wouldn't say it's difficult, but it could be. And I'm just going to attach the green the same way I did before. So I'm going to skip 2, 3 double crochet, and I am going to pause here and continue all the way around because now that it's a little bit bigger, it is going to take longer, and I think we get the gist of it. You guys don't need to hear me say skip 2, 3 double crochets every stitch. So but that's what you will be doing all the way around. So go ahead and skip 2. In the third one, you'll do 3 double crochets all the way to the corners. Corners will be your 3 double crochet, chain 1, 3 double crochet, and I will meet you back at the beginning just to start off the second row or round with you before we end there to continue on to the next purple section. So I will see you in just a second. Okay, so I'm just going to pop in really quick to show you guys. So like I said earlier, I didn't really count anything to make sure these would come out okay, because it's not really going to... finish that corner. So I'm gonna not even count the hidden stitch, skip these two and go into this one here. And I'll go ahead and finish this round and come back to start this. Okay, so I made it back around the cardigan. I'm now joined to my first cluster of the green here, and just like we did the first one, I slip stitched and chain one. Now I'm going to go into this space right here to make my first 3 double crochet cluster, and we are going to make this section exactly like we did the last for the green. So every space you see, you're going to put 3 double crochets in it. I still have my purple attached here. And then corners are going to be 3 double crochet, chain 1, 3 double crochet. So go ahead and do that all the way around for 4 more rows. Remember, we want 5 rows, or they're technically rounds. I keep calling them rows. Either way, we want 5 rounds of the green. So again, in every single space you see here, we're going to do 3 double crochets in the corner, 3 double crochet, chain 1, 3 double crochet. And 4 more rounds. I'll meet you back up when you have 5 all together, and we'll go back to the purple. Okay, so I have my next section of the green part done. I feel like my desk has gotten smaller and smaller as this tutorial has gone on. I don't know why, but we can see more of my computer and my Alexa thingy than we could before. But here it is so far. So we got 1 more section of purple to go, and then we'll be putting everything together. So we are going to do this section exactly like we did the first section of purple. I'm just trying to find my spot here. So I'm going to go ahead and go into my first double crochet of my first cluster of the green and put my purple over the hook. Pull through both to slip stitch and chain 1 to start with my purple. And just like we did previously, we are going to double crochet into the first stitch, the one that we just joined in, and every stitch around. When we get to the corners, we will do same thing we've done throughout the whole entire cardigan so far. So 3 double crochet, chain 1, 3 double crochet. And we will do this for 4 rows. And then I will meet you back up when I'm done with those 4 rows, and we will go from there. I think still trying to decide if I'm going to extend the back of the cardigan or not. Usually when you make these cardigans, you add a few extra rows to the back so that it's a little bit wider. I made this one, and I think I mentioned it at the very beginning, quite large. Even for my size, it's going to be pretty baggy. So I'm thinking I might not need to add any extra rows to the back. So once I'm done with the 4 rows of purple here, and I get it put together and put the cuff to the sleeve on, I'll see size-wise if I need to do that or not. If I do, I definitely will add it in. If not, we'll just go from what we're doing here. I honestly don't think I will need to, but we will see. I know on the first hexagon cardigan I made for myself, I did extend the back out. I'm thinking on the second one I did not. I don't remember doing it at all on the second one, but we'll see. So again, just go every single stitch across. We are going to put a double crochet, 3 double crochet, chain 1, 3 double crochet in the corner, and 4 rows. So I will meet you back up at the end of the 4th row of these double crochets. Okay, so I am back, and I finished my last purple section. So I was working pretty diligently on this, and I got to about halfway through the 4th row, because remember the last round we only made 4 rows instead of 5 like we did with everything else. For you guys, it's only been a few minutes. For me, it's been most of the day that I've been working on this. So about halfway through the 4th row of the last bit of purple here, and I'm pointing off camera and you can't see it. There we go. I ran out of purple. And I'm like, that doesn't make any sense. I should have had enough left to seam up the shoulder and then a little bit more like I did with the first one. Actually, a little bit more than the first one because I added what was left of the first one to this one. So I grabbed the first panel and looked at it. And this is the panel we've been working on together. And here's the first panel. Let me pull this back a little bit so you can see it better. So I, on the first panel, only did 4 of both purples. So this is the first section of purple. Obviously, I don't know why I just said that, but you can see there's only 4 rows here, and then I ended it with 4 too. So to make this side even as far as size-wise goes, I did end up with 3 rows up here because I did 5 rows down here because I, in my mind, swore the whole time I did 5, 5, 5, 4. Apparently, I did 5, 4, 5, 4. So mine's going to be a little bit different, but honestly, once it's all put together, again, you're not really going to be able to tell. So what we're going to do now is fold it up so that it is an L shape. And unfortunately, I don't really think I have enough room to show that. But when it's your big hexagon like this, you just want to fold it so that it makes an L. Or an upside down L, because this is where your armpit goes and this is where your shoulder goes up here. So fold it so it makes the L. What I've noticed too, because I do this a lot, if you fold it this way so it makes like this weird U shape, you're just one corner off from making it an L. So just take your corner and twist it. And there you go. So I have mine folded to make the L. I ended up over here, which technically is my sleeve. So I'm actually just going to go ahead and cut that off and pull it through to tie it off. And now we are going to seam up across the shoulder. And I still haven't completely decided if I'm going to make the back a little bit wider, but you know, we could still do that if I wanted to, even if I see my shoulder closed. So we'll do that together now. And I was trying so hard to get this done so that I could come back and do this part while my kids were still with my parents. And it didn't happen. So if you hear them, I do apologize. And my husband has now left for work. So I have my door open just so that I can hear them. And what I'm going to do is actually turn this inside out. I haven't weaved in any of my ends yet, so I know that this is the inside. This is the outside, so I'm just going to flip it around so that my ends are on the outside here because I want the seam for the shoulder to be inside the cardigan. So here is our inside, and I'm going to start over here at the end of the sleeve and work across the cardigan to where my shoulder will sit. So I'm going to go right into the corner stitch. I have a slip knot on my hook. And yarn over. And, oh, is this the way I usually do it? I can't remember. There we go. Yarn over, pull that slip knot through. And now, I'm sorry if I have to keep moving you, but every time I come back to film another piece, my tripod gets moved and I can't see what I'm doing. So we're just going to go through the front and back loop of each stitch all the way across and make a single crochet. So make sure you have all 4 loops on your hook. There's 1, 2, 3, 4. Yarn over, pull through, make your single crochet. I don't like slip stitches. I don't like how tight they get. I don't like doing them, to be honest. So I choose to do single crochets instead. You can pick up only the back loops of both. You can pick up the back loop of the one closest to you, the front loop of the one behind. if you want. It really doesn't matter. I prefer to do it this way. I like the look it gives on the outside with grabbing all 4 loops rather than grabbing one from each panel. And again, I don't like slip stitches. I prefer to single crochet everything. So whatever you feel comfortable with, if you're comfortable with switching it up and doing slip stitches instead, or you know, you want a little bit of a textured look by grabbing just some of the loops, go right ahead. But we are just going to do 1 single crochet in all 4 loops all the way across to seam up our shoulder. We'll have to say that I have not made many tutorials on my channel. I think this is maybe number 3. I know I have 2 hat tutorials and a slipper sock tutorial. I have to say this is probably the worst one I've done. I just feel like, I don't know why I can't seem to get my camera in the right place so that I can see what I'm doing and still have you guys be able to see it. I keep wanting to go over here, but I can't see anything because the way the tripod holds my camera blocks the screen right here, but that's comfortable. But over here I can see what I'm doing, but then it's just not as comfortable and I keep gravitating more this way. So I apologize. I hope none of that bothers anybody. I know people like professional type tutorial videos. That's just not me. You know, I think even with me moving quite a bit and moving the camera and things like that, you can still follow the tutorial completely fine. So again, I hope that really doesn't bother anybody. But at this point, I'm already almost done with it. And I'm not going to take it apart to refilm, and I don't plan on making another one anytime soon. So you'll just have to deal with it. See, I gravitated back over here again, and now I can't see what I'm doing on the camera. I can tell that I'm in frame for you guys, though. Barely. But I am. I guess I could just go like this. But then, I don't know. It doesn't sit right when I do that. Yeah, I don't like that. We're just a mess over here. Let me go back to where I was and try to stay over here. Can we do that? Can we? So we are almost at the other side. Ooh, I don't know what I just did there. There are a lot of noises going on in my living room right now. My older son has a movie on and is watching his Switch. My younger son has his phone on, and I have YouTube playing on my TV in the living room too. And I hear all 4 of those things going right now, so I hope you guys don't. We got a couple more here. And then we are going to go ahead and cuff the sleeve after this. And then I really don't think I'm going to add any width to the back. I had it laid out earlier without it seamed up or anything, obviously, because I'm doing that on camera with you guys. But I think it's perfect the way it is. So after we do the cuff on the sleeve, I'll show you how to join the back up, and I'm going to do a black border around the whole thing, and it will be complete. So we are almost done. Obviously, if you are making yours, you will have to make the second panel. I did already have mine done before we started the video, just because I didn't have anything planned for this. And there I go again, off camera. So I am back in my corner. I'm just going to do one single crochet in the corner. I always chain 2 before I cut off. I don't know, it's just habit of mine. And then pull it tight. So there is my shoulder all seamed up. Can zoom you out a little bit so we can see it all. And we'll turn it the right side, and you can see across the shoulder now that, you know, you can't see any ridges or anything, and doing it that way gives it a very nice seamless look. It almost looks like I was crocheting in the round instead of joining those together. Again, if you don't prefer it that way, definitely don't have to do it that way. Just the way I like to do it. Maverick is coming. So now we'll do the cuff. Oh, I am making a mess over here. So here is the cuff to the first side I did. My cuff, I will say, is very tiny. It does fit me perfectly fine. I did try it on before I cut it off just to make sure. But if you have, sorry about the children, if you have bigger wrist or you don't like them as tight, you might want to not decrease as much as I did right here, or something different while making the ribbing for the cuff, because I will say it is pretty tight. But we are going to switch back to the green. And I'm going to shut my door so you guys don't have to hear them. I don't even know if you can hear them, but they're loud to me. I know a lot of times when they sound really loud to me, nobody else can hear them. But I'm just going to shut the door so we don't have to hear them. So since this part of the sleeve for me personally is a lot wider than I would ever really want it, I'm going to do 3 rounds of decreases. I'm going to show you how to do them, obviously, but I'm going to do 3 rounds. That's what I did for the first one, and obviously I want to do the same for the second one so they match. I prefer things closer to my wrist too. I think I might eventually make one without a like ribbing cuff and just do a couple like rows of half double crochets or something. But for this one, I do 3 rounds of decreasing and then I put the cuff on. So I'm just gonna pick up any stitch across here, lay my green over, and make a slip stitch. And then we're gonna single crochet to start it off, and then we are gonna single crochet decrease, so single crochet 2 together. So to do that, you pull up a loop in the one, go into the next one, pull up a loop, and then pull through all 3. That is how you do a single crochet decrease. And then we will do a repeat of that all the way around. So single crochet decrease. Oop, my trying to get my purple tail in there and it just wants to be part of it. Single crochet. And it did it again. That tail just does not want to stay back there. It wants to be part of the party over here. And I just pulled my can't talk right now. I pulled my single crochet 2 together out as well. So I'm just going to drop that tail and I'll weave it in later because it's being a pain. But we will continue this all the way around. Single crochet decrease. And like I said, I am going to do 3 rounds of this. Each round just doing single crochet decrease before I make the actual cuff to my cardigan. So I will stop here and work on that off camera, and I will meet you back up when we are ready to start the cuff. Okay, so I got my 3 rows of decreasing done, and I have to move this over a little bit. Again, I am sorry. And I am ready to do the cuff to my cardigan. So we are going to do the rib stitch. For this, I do drop down a different hook size. I'm going all the way down to a H hook, so 5mm. And what you're going to want to do is just from wherever you left off with your decreasing, go ahead and chain 11. There we go. And then we are going to single crochet back down that, starting in the second chain from the hook. So we want 10 single crochets when we get down to the bottom. And there I go again. I can't see what I'm doing. This has been such a horrible tutorial. I'm so sorry to everybody. Hopefully it's not bothering anybody as much as it's bothering me. And when you go to do the last one, so I am down to the bottom of the chain, you're going to go into the chain like you would normally for a single crochet, but you're not going to finish it. You're going to go into the next stitch on the cuff, so this one right here, and pull through and finish your single crochet there. And then you're going to slip stitch into the next spot on the cuff and turn your work, and then work up the other side. And then this side we do back loop only. So again, we want 10. Sometimes that first stitch is hidden. I personally count them every row. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So this is the one I'm going to start in right here, and we're going to go into the back loop only. That's what causes the ribbing on the cuffs, is doing back loop only. So we will single crochet back loop only all the way up. And oh, I cannot get this one. The cardigan is getting kind of heavy at this point, and it keeps sliding off my desk. And then I'm dropping it. There we go. That works much better. Should have just been in this position the whole time. Except I cannot grab these to save my life. I have been working on this all day since I woke up. Actually, I think I started around like 10. And I've been pretty much nonstop been working on it since then. There was a few times I put it down to eat breakfast, and then to eat lunch, and then to eat dinner and everything. But currently it's 6:20 p.m. and I've been working on this cardigan all day. So I'm getting tired. And then we are going to go right back down. I'm getting stuck in everything. I don't do a chain one or anything at the end. I just go right back into that one I just did. Back loop only, single crochet, and back loop only, single crochets all the way down. And here we are at that last one. So remember, you're not going to finish your single crochet. You are going to finish it within the next part of the cuff down here. So instead of pulling through right here, I'm going to go through here and pick up another loop, and then finish my single crochet there, and then come over to the next one and slip stitch, turn my work, and do my back loop only, single crochets up. So I will do that one more time on camera with you guys before I finish it off camera, just because I'm having a very hard time explaining with words what I'm doing. So I hope visually it makes sense. And since I don't chain one, this last one is always extremely hard to get into. So I just kind of like wiggle my hook around and push until I can grab it and pull through. Again, I'm not going to chain one, so I'm just going to turn, go right back into that one I just worked, and pull up a loop, single crochet, back loop only, do that all the way down. Okay, here is my last one. So I'm going to go into that stitch, pull up my loop, go back into the next stitch on my cuff, pull up a loop, pull through all 3 to finish that single crochet, go into the next stitch on the cuff, slip stitch, turn the work, and then back loop only, single crochet our way back up. And we're going to continue that all the way around, and I will come back at the very last row to show you how to join them together. Okay, so I have the cuff done here. I slip stitched into the very last stitch. Now we just need to attach it together. So I'm going to go into every stitch across and slip stitch. And on this side that I ended up on, I'm going to grab the back loop only still and pull that through. You can see a little maverick hand in frame. Please stop. Oh, I'm stuck. See, that's why I hate slip stitches. No matter what I do, I always get stuck with them. And I can't figure out what I'm doing wrong. There we go. So frustrating. There we go. Got a few more to do here. And then again, hope you can see what I'm doing because I'm watching my hands, not the camera. Okay, and then here is the very last one. Again, kind of difficult to get into sometimes, but there we go. It does give it a little bit of an edge that pops up on this outside, but not really that big of a deal. And then I'm going to do my chain 2 and cut my yarn, and we are officially done with the green and with the H hook. So you can go ahead and go back to the L, because what we will do now is do the same thing across the back that we did across the shoulder to attach the 2 sides. So I'm going to go ahead and turn this back inside out so that the seams will be on the inside. Let me grab the other half. Turn this one inside out as well. And you are more than welcome to use stitch markers or anything you'd like to kind of hold these pieces together while you seam them. I'm just going to kind of line them up. Start at the bottom with my purple if I can find it. I don't know if my face just got in frame, but if it did, I'm sorry, and it was probably an ugly face because, yeah. So my son's TV is very loud. Well, I am just a mess. I should not have tried to do this all in one day. But I'm just going to grab the corners just like I did across the shoulder, and got a slip knot on my hook. I'm gonna go ahead and join that and do 1 single crochet in the corner and grab both loops all the way up the back of the cardigan and do single crochets to join everything together. So I will go ahead and stop here and work my way up the back of the cardigan, and I will meet you all in just a moment because like I said at the beginning, I am going to put a black trim around mine. So I will meet you all in just a second. Okay, so it is done. Everything is put together. The last thing we have to do now, and again, if you don't want to do it, you are more than welcome to leave this part off. I am going to put 2 rows of single crochet all the way around the border. So I'm going to probably start somewhere up here, go down around the bottom here, and then go back up this side to attach to where I was. And I just grabbed a brand new black off the shelf, and I don't know where the end is. Well, there's that end. Where's the other end? Well, I can't find it. So I'm going to pause, and I'll come back when I get it. So I actually ended up having to go from the outside of that skein because I seriously could not find the center pole. I'm going back to my L hook though, and you can just start in any stitch anywhere that you want. And again, I'm just going to single crochet all the way around. I'm only going to do a few stitches on screen, and then we will come back when it is completely done. But I do want to show you one part. And if you are holding your tail like I am, just make sure it's on the inside of your cardigan. The way I'm holding it right now, this is my outside. I have it the inside up facing me. I hate working from the outside of yarn. But I want to show you what I'm going to do for the center of the back here, because there's kind of a little dip with the way I joined it together. So I'm going to try to do right here. I'm going to put 2 extended single crochets on each side of the seam to kind of raise it up so it won't be as far down as the rest of them. That probably didn't make any sense, but to do an extended single crochet, go into the stitch like you normally would and pull up a loop, yarn over, go through 1 loop, and then yarn over and go through both to finish your single crochet. And again, just go ahead and go in every single stitch around. When I get to the bottom corners, I am going to, just to keep the shape of them, I'm going to do 2 single crochets, chain 1, 2 single crochets in each of the bottom corner spaces. Again, just to kind of keep those shapes. So I will go ahead and do all of that off camera and meet you back up when it is completely done. Okay, so the cardigan is done. Let me stand up and show everybody. So you can't really see the black trim I did because I am wearing a black shirt, and it kind of blends in with the purple, but there we go. I ended up only doing 1 round words today, jeez, of single crochets before I ended it with the black. I might eventually go back in and do a second one. I'm not really sure, but I kind of liked how it looked with 1, so I just left it like that. And obviously I still have ends to weave in and everything, but it's finished and I love it. Yeah, I hope everybody enjoyed the tutorial. And that's about it. I don't know what else to say, but we made a whole cardigan together. So I hope everybody enjoyed. Let me know in the comments down below if you decide to make it. And if you liked it, again, sorry about all the distractions and the moving of the camera and everything. I just could not get the angle right through the whole thing until about the very end of it. It was finally in a good spot for me. So hope everybody enjoyed, and I'll see you all in the next one. Bye.